Welcome to That Song, Your Song, My Song podcast. This week we have Catherine from Lunar joining us, and we're very excited. We're going to be covering some Courtney Barnett. Welcome, Catherine. Do you go by Catherine or Kate
Oh,
or
it's Katie.
Katie?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been trying to introduce myself as Thomas for like 3 years, and even
Yeah.
complete strangers will be like, "Can I just call you Tom?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
what that is. People never want to call you what you want to be called. I've been trying
yeah,
to be Kate actually for my entire life, but people just always have been like, "No, you're Katie."
yeah. It's specifically with like long or like Catherine or Thomas. People don't want to. It's just too much work for them or something.
I know. Yeah.
Um, so should I call you Kate then or Katie?
You can go with Katie.
Okay,
That's
cool.
cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. We're going to be covering some Courtney Barnett, but I wanted to talk a little bit about your band, the Lunar Year, and just hear what. So I was listening to you guys this week, and um, it's a really cool, not only style of recording that you do, but a really cool style of music. It's very kind of like tender and I don't know, I don't mean this in any like religious way, but kind of there's like this cathedral aesthetic to it. You know, it feels like an old ancient church to me. It's very um like solid, but I don't know. It's really cool stuff. So I wanted
Thank
to
you.
hear about what it was like recording that record. Um, I know you have porcelain, and the record is a word that I actually can't pronounce, and I don't want
Oh
to butcher it.
yeah. It's a Herodias.
Herodias, yeah,
Yeah.
which is also a track on the record.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what was it like recording the record? What was some of the influences?
Um, that record is just like it's really interesting because I think I recorded it in all different places. Like there was a song that I recorded on there in Columbus, Ohio. I was like going through there playing a show, and then we recorded at this one venue. They had like a studio in there. So we like recorded that one there, and then a bunch of them were just home recordings. Um, and then there was another one that we recorded in like a theater somewhere in like the middle of Pennsylvania. I don't even remember where it was. It was like maybe an hour or two north or something. Um, so it's cool. And then there's one song that on there that was like a last minute ad. I think that was Heady Love. And I had right at the end of the record, I moved out west and I was in California and I just like set up a couple things and recorded that song there. So it's kind of cool. I feel like it like traveled around for a while, which maybe kind of adds to the aesthetic of it or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that is very cool. Um, that's a cool process in general. So when you were recording it, was part of the reason why you were recording in other places because you were inspired and you're like, I need to get this song out now, or was it because it was just a cool place to record, or was it just a mix of both? What was?
Yeah, it was probably like a mix of both. And then also a little bit like I don't have any money, so I have to record this at my house. Um, so yeah, I think it was probably a mix of both. We were just I can't remember which one. Maybe Saturn's Rings, I think, is the one that was in Columbus, but I remember that one we were just having like so much fun, like touring, and it was just awesome. And we were like, well, let's just like the venue owner, we were playing there and he was like, do you want to just record a song here? And we were like, hell yeah. So we did
That's
that.
cool. Do you
Yeah.
remember what
So
venue that was?
what's that?
Do you remember what venue that was?
Yeah, it was called the Shrunken Head.
Shrunken Head. I've heard of the Shrunken Head actually.
Yeah, it's cool. They've let us play there a couple times. We're not really like their style. There's like a lot of hardcore shows there, but
Mm.
I don't know. I kind of like pretty gritty stuff too, and my live stuff is a little more like post rockish kind of than the record. It's like an interpretation of that. So I think we
Okay.
kind of fit well there, but yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, I feel like being in different environments for recording, um, bring like it's almost refreshing, at least for me, recording. It's refreshing to be like sometimes you get so like I do a lot of home recording too. I think that's the way most musicians are recording nowadays.
Oh yeah. That,
With like we both have our DAWs set up, with it being so accessible. But I like hearing stories like that from the record. Like now I want to go back and listen to Saturn's Rings, knowing that it's like my drummer is obsessed with Led Zeppelin, and we'll be listening to like the ocean or something, and he'll be like, "Did you hear the dog? They were recording, it's there's like little stories like
I
they
love
were
that.
recording this house and a dog barked and Jimmy Page was like, keep it." And I was like, anybody could have just said that drunken at a bar and now it's a fact, but it still
So
kind of
cool.
brings the allure to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love
Um,
that. I think I can hear my dog in one of my songs too. I think it's maybe the first one, and we were like, I think we could hear his collar or something. He was like scratching his neck, and we were like, no, it's kind of cool. Just keep it.
yeah, it totally adds to it.
Yeah.
Um, and so you said you also recorded in a theater in upstate PA?
Yeah, or it was like an old theater, but I think that they do shows there now.
Okay.
Um, oh, it was called Chaplin's, which is not that far away actually. I don't know. It was such a long time ago. I like can't remember some things, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so you mentioned that you guys were on tour when you did the Ohio recording. Have you guys toured a bunch?
Not too much. We've done like a tour that was like a few weeks, and then just a lot of like weekend stuff, like a couple
Weekend
days long
Warriors.
here and there. Yeah, come back for a couple days and then go back, play a couple more shows, or play like a hometown show, things like that.
Do you have a like a favorite tour story? Whether that's like band antics or a show that you really loved.
Hmm.
I'm missing touring so much that I'm just trying to live vicariously through everybody that I talk to about it.
I know. I really miss it. It's so much fun to travel. I really sometimes would get like I don't know, like being in a car for a long time just kind of sucks, but every once in a while I just like think about it and I'm like, "Oh, that's really nice though. I really miss not showering and stuff."
Yeah, you get to be kind of grimy and lose connection to the earth a little bit for a couple of weeks or a weekend or whatever the that trip is.
Yeah. It's like you're in another world kind of.
Yeah.
You just get to live, I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's like so similar to like when you're a kid or something and you just like escape into like imaginary world. I feel like that's how like music is in a lot of ways, like touring included and playing shows.
What do you mean by that? I like that thought.
Well, I guess I've been thinking, so I like to write poetry a lot too. And I feel like music and poetry is like the closest I can get to feeling like the way I felt when I was like a kid before I like knew how fucked up everything was. It's like you just kind of sit down and look at a bunch of bugs or something and like just vibe out. And like I just feel like I feel like art is so like that for me. It's just like accessing this like I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if that explains it, but that's how I feel about like traveling too. It's like I don't know, just get to be in art world.
Yeah. I love that explanation. I totally agree. I think that um I think that like art is kind of like accessing art either as an artist or as an observer is kind of like a waking dream.
Yeah.
And I think that it is totally a place that you can vibe out and focus on these things that like you don't focus on in the real world. Like you don't focus on when you're driving traffic this way. Maybe some people do, maybe traffic controllers do.
Yeah.
Um, but like getting stuck on like the one time someone does a guitar riff out of a chorus or the way like a voice cracks when there's like a ton of soul coming through that part, you know, like those little things are things that like you can just fixate on, and they can just kind of like open this like pea-sized hole into your brain of like a million memories or hopes. And um yeah, I really like the way you said that, because I agree. And I think that touring is kind of like almost the virtual reality, even though there's nothing virtual about it, of that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you get to kind of like play that into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really unique thing. I don't know, music is so cool that way. Just yeah. I feel like really really happy that I like get to play it, and even though it sucks right now, it's like I still have my mind and I still have my instrument, or even if I didn't, at least I have my mind, you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree. I think that in some ways at the beginning of quarantine, I thought that this was going to be a really great chance to like catch up on some music. And then
Mhm.
it turned into a whole bunch of months and music kind of in a live setting, like fleeing. So I think there's good and bad to it for musicians, but it is like great that we get to hold on to it in the way that we do. And I know that a lot of musicians I've talked to have felt uninspired a lot of the quarantine, just because I think this year's been so tough on everybody. Um, but I think that even like in moments of lack of inspiration, there's like a boiling up of experience that's gonna like, if it doesn't come out in 2020, like 2021, I truly think it's gonna be like this amazing year of just everybody kind of like animals out of a cage, you know?
That would be so cool. I
Yeah.
really I would love that. That would be awesome.
Um, yeah. So we're doing Courtney Barnett. And oh, I never got your tour story. So I probably
Oh,
talked over it. I'm sorry. I'm like a
it's
Gabby
okay.
Cathy or whatever, Chatty Cathy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's all good. My favorite story. Mm.
We can also come back to it if I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Well, I'm trying to think like I mean, I've had a lot of I remember I was driving through Washington, and it was just like we drove through like a national forest. I can't remember the name of it, but we were going from Spokane back to California, and it was like really beautiful, but that's not really a story. So I'll have to think of one.
That part of the country though is absolutely gorgeous.
I know. It's
I
awesome.
like I'm lucky enough to I hike part of Mount Rainier
Oh,
out
cool.
there.
That's awesome.
And like between I have been to California, but I haven't spent as much time as I would like to. Not in any musical capacity, but um I spent a whole bunch of time in Oregon, which is gorgeous and like has a weird amount of climate settings.
Yeah.
Like there's like a desert there and like a tropical kind of rainforests, kind of like there's just a little bit of everything.
I think there's a volcano there too.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Or
Um,
in one of the, it's either Washington, Oregon, or California, but yeah.
no, I know there's that volcano outside of Portland. And my cousin lives out there, and we don't like have Portland, or you know Portland. We don't have volcanoes in Philadelphia. So like we were on the highway, and I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's like Mount whatever." And I was like,
Yeah.
You're just okay with like that's so cool that that's in your
They're all used to it out there. They don't, it doesn't phase them anymore or something. My best
yeah.
friend's from Washington, and she's always like, meh. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna cry. But
um so yeah, so we're doing Courtney Barnett, and this was an awesome choice. I actually was lucky enough to see her at the Fillmore in
oh,
Philly,
cool. That's awesome.
and I didn't know her at the time that I saw her, and she started with Hopefulness. I don't
Oh,
know if I said
yeah.
that.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and um, the whole place just kind of like started to like sludge in this like that song is like a sludge, you know? It's like this kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
um I wanted to cover it, but I also like didn't want to I didn't know if I could do it justice. Um, and but yeah, that was my first experience, and I was like, this is like some true rock and roll. This is like very real rock and roll. That's not very like there's not a lot of rock and roll left in the world, like true like essence.
Yeah.
Um, so that was my first experience getting introduced to Courtney Barnett. Um, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
why did you pick her? Is she one of your favorite artists?
I started getting into her like a couple years ago, and that was actually the first song that I ever heard of hers too. And I thought about covering it as well, but I was like, I don't think it's gonna do for like my dinky little setup here. But yeah, I've never covered one of her songs before, but I thought it would be interesting because her songs are just so interesting to me. Like she sings on like one note a lot. Like she'll just like sing like da 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 like over and over again.
Hmm.
But it's like really difficult to like cover that and like kind of mimic it. And her lyrics are just so like I feel like every song is just like packed to the brim with words. And so I thought it'd be cool. I thought it'd be a cool challenge to try to learn a few of her tunes. So
Yeah, I'm glad you chose it. I agree. I feel like a lot of her singing is like 90% a line, one note, and then at the end it just like goes up a half a step. And
mm-hmm.
for some reason I get so you or goes down a half step, like for the last word. Um, and for some reason it becomes really difficult because I feel like I just get very comfortable on that note, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta throw this in there real quick.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe this is because like I think that I kind of arrange my covers in like kind of a Velvet's way, but I feel like she has a very Velvet Underground, like 60s New York writing style when you break it down to an acoustic.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that was cool to play along with too. There's like that like kind of pre-punk attitude to it.
Yeah.
Um, and like you said with the lyrics, there's a ton of lyrics and a whole story being told in like the midst of that kind of storm of lyrics.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I've also just been like listening to her a ton. Like my quarantine playlist has been just so weird like since March. Like I don't know. So right now I'm going through like a cycle of like her and then like some other weird music like Captain Beefheart and
Oh, nice.
like just like the as weird as I can get pretty much. So I really like her stuff. I think it's like really cool.
Is that purposeful that you're specifically trying to lean into like a weird direction, or is this just the music that you've been finding yourself in recently?
Um yeah, I feel like I don't know. It took me a while to like start writing music. Once COVID started, like I definitely wasn't one of those people that was just like had songs overflowing out of them. Like I feel like I had kind of like a mental breakdown for like a couple months and then after that I started writing and I feel like I like just was able to access some kind of weird creativity that I hadn't really done before and I think that I've just been inspired by, you know, musicians like Courtney Barnett and um, Erica Badu and like different just tons of just different stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll get us started for the covers. I think I'm going to start with City Looks Pretty.
Awesome.
And
That's a good one.
I kind of arranged it in, like I said, a Velvet Underground style. So
Cool.
that's how it goes. The city looks pretty when you've been indoors for 23 days. I've ignored all your phone calls. And everyone's waiting when you get back home. They don't know where you've been, why you've gone so long. Your friends treat you like a stranger and strangers treat you like their best friend. Oh well, running backwards to reach your goal. Sometimes I get sad, it's all not that bad. One day, maybe never, I'll come around. The city takes pity on your injured soul, and heavenly prose ain't enough good to fill that hole. Soaked in animosity, it's vicious and winter, you never say what you mean. Friends treat you like a stranger, and strangers treat you like the best friend. Oh well, waking up to another dismal day, you got a way to go, you ought to be grateful. Sometimes I get mad, it's not half as bad. Pull yourself together and just calm down. You want, oh, when you want it. But I'll never be what you need. And the city looks pretty from where I'm standing. The city looks pretty from where I'm standing.
That was awesome.
Thank
I
you.
love that song.
That song, yeah, it has such a cool, like, I feel like I'm in the middle of traffic or something as soon as it starts. You feel like
Yeah,
it feels like a city.
it totally does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What made you pick that song?
Uh, that one's just one of my favorites. That one was a bit easier for me to pick because I was like, it's like regularly in my playlists, and um, I felt like I knew it really well.
Yeah.
Um, I also feel like it's just kind of nostalgic of like, she never says like an intersection, but like when uh, the Velvets or like Ramones or any New York band is like down at 42nd and 3rd, you know, like that kind of like, you feel like you're toughing in a city. That's how I love that feeling in
Yeah.
the song, and it makes me feel like that. Um, so yeah, I love that song.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Man, she just has so many good songs. It was really hard to pick for me. I don't know like what your experience was like going through them, but
Yeah, I like definitely had there was like the group of songs that I wanted to do, like Hopefulness or of course now I'm gonna blank on its name. A Little Time I wanted to do. Um, and then there was like the songs that I felt like I could do because I didn't want to not do a song justice, or at least get as close to possible as I could with it, you know?
yeah.
Um, so what are you going to start us off with?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Avant Gardener.
Cool.
So, yeah, let me make sure my levels are okay here. I feel like real fancy. Like putting reverb on my vocals. I miss when sound people did that for me. Okay. Yeah, so the song, yeah, very wordy. So if I mess up the words, I'm sorry, Courtney. Is this guitar okay? Can you hear that? Or should I turn up the gain a little?
Is that signal what's coming? Yeah, I can't really hear it. I think it maybe could come up a little bit.
Here, let me. How's that? Is that any better?
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Okay. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, cool. I sleep in late another day. Oh, what a wonder. Oh, what a waste. It's a Monday. It's so mundane. What exciting things will happen today? The yard is full of hard rubbish. It's a messin'. I think the neighbors must think we run a meth lab. We should amend that. I pull the sheets back, it's 40 degrees and I feel like I'm dying. Life's getting hard in here, so I do some gardening. Anything to take my mind away from where it's supposed to be. All of the nice things the nice lady next door talks of green beds and all of the nice things she wants to plant in them. I wanna grow tomatoes on the front steps, sunflowers, bean sprouts, sweet corn and radishes. I feel proactive, I pull out weeds. All of a sudden, I'm having trouble breathing in. 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 My hands are shaky, my knees are weak. I can't seem to stand on my own 2 feet. I'm breathing but I'm wheezing, feel like I'm emphyseming. My throat feels like a funnel filled with Weet-Bix and kerosene. And oh no, next thing I know they call up triple-O. I'd rather die than owe the hospital till I get old. I get adrenaline straight to the heart. I feel like Uma Thurman post-overdose and kickstart. Reminds me of a time when I was really sick and I had too much pseudoephedrine and I couldn't sleep at night. Halfway down High Street, Andy looks ambivalent. He's probably wondering what I'm doing getting in an ambulance. The paramedic thinks I'm clever 'cause I play guitar. I think she's clever 'cause she stops people dying. Anaphylactic and super hypochondriactic. Should've stayed in bed today, I much prefer the mundane. I take a hit from an asthma puffer. I do it wrong, I was never good at smoking bongs. I'm not that good at breathing in. I'm not that good at breathing in. I'm not that good at breathing in.
Great. Man, the amount of good lyrics in that song.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know where to begin. The Uma Thurman kickstart line.
I know. It's like,
and
yeah.
the I'm not so good at smoking bongs line.
Yeah.
Like, how many people on planet Earth hear that line are like, "That's me."
Oh yeah. I mean, that's why I
You
picked
know?
the song. I was like, same.
Yeah, like that is the main. I feel like when it comes to smoking weed, that is the main TKO device. Like weed is fun until bongs. A lot of the time, people are like, "What the fuck just happened to this drug?"
Yeah, they should be rated R if that was a thing you could do to cannabis paraphernalia.
That sounded great though. That you got like the way that she kind of slides her note. You nailed, and that was a great cover.
Oh, thanks.
Um, the way that you said the word mundane or sang the word mundane was like exactly how I think that word feels.
Yeah.
It was great.
I thought that was cool too, cause like, well, I was practicing it today, and I was like, today is Monday, and it feels mundane. I wanted to sing like, I don't know if she sings it this way, but I wanted to sing Monday and mundane like pretty much the same way, like so that it like rhymed exactly. So I don't know. That was just like a little thing that I threw in there, but
I like that. Yeah, I think that she has a lot of those cool slant rhymes.
yeah, she does.
Um,
She's cool.
I don't know if it was this song or the song that I'm doing next, but she also obviously is Australian, so she says garage
Garrett.
instead of
Oh,
garage.
garage. Oh, cool.
And I'm totally going to do that because I really love the way that that's pronounced. And I was like, I don't care if I don't have an accent. I really like that.
Well, she's from the down under.
Oh,
So
what'd you
yeah,
say?
I think she's from Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple things I had to look up actually. Like Wheat Bix. I didn't know what the fuck that was, but
What is that?
apparently um in the one lyric in the Avant-Gardener, she says that her throat feels like a funnel filled with Wheat Bix, and I had to look that up. I think it's like a cereal or something.
Okay.
Like
Maybe
maybe
they're
like
Wheaties.
oh yeah, yeah, something like that. Like it probably is like Wheaties or yeah, but there's a couple Australian references.
Crazy Australian words.
Yeah.
Garages and wheat mixes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna do Depreston as my second cover.
Oh, cool. I love that song.
Yeah. And I kind of changed this. It stays pretty mellow in hers. I'm trying for something different, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, here's the Preston. You said we should look out further. Guess it wouldn't hurt us. We don't have to be around all these coffee shops. Now we got that percolator. Never made a latte greater. Saving $23 a week. We drive to a house in Preston. See police arresting a man with his hand in a bag. How's that for first impressions? This place seems depressing. It's a California bungalow in a cul-de-sac. It's got a lovely garden, a garage with 2 cars to park in, or a lot of room for storage if you just got one. It's gonna drip cheap, you say. Words of the sister stay on the press, metal ceilings gray.
And I see the handrail in the shower, a collection of canisters with coffee, teas, and flowers, and a photo of a young man in a van in Vietnam. And I can't think of floorboards anymore, whether the blonde room faces south or north. And I wonder what she bought it for. If you're gonna spend $500,000, you can knock it down and build it. If you gotta spend $500,000, you can knock it down and build it. If you gotta spend $500,000, you can knock it down and build it. If you gotta spend $500,000, you can knock it down and build it.
That was awesome.
I love that
song justice.
Say again.
Oh, I just said you did that song justice. It sounded really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about poetry, and I love the line in that song where she realizes like what the house they're looking at, like that it's a deceased estate. And she says, then I saw the handrail in the shower. And I love that line because it's so telling without directly saying anything about, like, it's not like overly explaining anything.
Right.
You know, she's like looking at this house and then like she sees that and she realizes there's like a whole life lived there. And that one line accomplishes that. And like, that's true poetry to me, is like a line like that. That's just, you describe something in the room to put the listener or the reader or whoever in the room, instead of saying like, there was a handrail in the shower because like they were older and like her husband, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I think that's like that's really cool, because I mean it's really like, when you think about it, any place, I guess, unless you move into a brand new place, but a lot of times, especially like in Philly, like these houses have like whole lives before you come into them, and it's like, it's just, I think sometimes we like, after we move into places, we like get used to it and then it becomes our place. But I don't know, there's something about that feeling of like when you go into like a new place or something and you're like, oh, this is like not mine yet, or I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes I trip myself up having, this is like one of my like weird far out thoughts, but sometimes like I like think about like a city like Philadelphia where you have a bunch of like row homes on a block, and how like there's like a million different universes. Like there's like a universe in each one of those houses, you know, like there's like my house that has like me making burritos. And then you have the next house where maybe somebody is like a really crazy good gospel organist and they're just like slamming on the organ. And then the next house where like that person has 25 cats. And if you like just took the bricks away and like it was just like people like floating in space, it would just be like a bunch of really weird like universes of like that guy making a burrito and this person playing with 25 cats, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, you're right in terms of like the association of what a space is, and how that's also just a period of time of us doing that. And then there's people previous to us living in those places who are doing their own weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really wild to think about. Yeah. And everybody's doing weird shit too.
Yeah. You know,
like every house is kind of weird because everybody's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how different living would be as if like we all just lived in glass houses. Would people be just as weird, you know? Like would like people still just like hang out and like go crazy on their organ or whatever? Or would it be like much more like, I don't know, like conservative?
Yeah. It'd probably take the mystique away from people, you know, because I think that a lot of Well, I mean, it's like when you look at somebody or you're talking to somebody, like you're just kind of like seeing what you want to see in a way. Like, because you don't actually know that person, you know, you're kind of just like, in a way, projecting like, oh, I bet this person eats this in the morning, you know, or I bet this person thinks about this stuff. And you don't actually really know until you really get to know a person and like they become your good friend or something. But yeah, I bet being able to see everybody's lives probably kind of get rid of that.
Yeah. All the really cool people that you find out are just like play a lot of solitaire or something. You know, they're just sitting at home playing solitaire. That is such like a trip when you meet somebody and you have this idea of them, and then you learn like really who they are, and you're like, oh, when I met you, like you were like in a cool leather jacket and did, you know, but now you're just a normal person.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be a weird world if everybody saw what we were doing in our houses. Also probably boring. Like probably a lot of people are just doing the same shit.
Yeah, a lot
Just
of
like-
sitting.
Just like chilling and like, like watching TV and stuff. It's like, oh, that's what my favorite musician's doing. The same thing
Yeah.
with me. Yeah.
I wonder if that's like also how like deer feel, you know, when they're just like out there and like they can always see what the other deer are doing. They're just like, you're over there eating grass.
That's
Like,
true.
that's- What we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm taking us on a weird tangent when I
Oh,
are
that's
outside.
okay. It's all weird up here, so I'm always down for a weird tangent.
Speaking of that, what is this cool light fixture you have going on?
Oh, that's my Christmas tree.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it
can't
does
tell-
look really bright on the Zoom. I have
I-
a real shitty camera, so it's like just has morphed into like this big sun-like thing. So
Yeah, I really like it because the way it looks on camera, I can't tell if it's in front of your microphone or behind it. And I thought it
it
was
is
kind of like
behind
a,
it.
it is behind it.
Yeah.
I thought it was like this cool chandelier that was like right near your camera. And now it makes
would be
way more
sick.
sense that it's a Christmas tree.
Yeah, I might have put too many lights on it, and they're all like white too, so there's like no color to distinguish like where they are, you know?
Yeah, it kind of looks like, you know, those images of like the dark matter around a star where it's like bending space and time. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it looks like to me. It's cool.
That's cool. I like that.
We'll go
make
with
a
that.
Christmas tree. Yeah.
So what is your second cover gonna be?
I'm gonna do Continental Breakfast, which I guess is technically also a Kurt Weill song, but they sing it together, so I figured I'd count it in. This is one of my favorite songs. I really like this one.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. You won't believe what I could have told you, but I don't believe I've the balls to let you know. I can say that 'cause I'm a man, but I feel like a little boy today. I cherish my intercontinental friendships. We talk it over continental breakfast in a hotel in East Bumble, wherever, somewhere on the sphere around here. I cherish my intercontinental friendships. Not much very big on enemies, so I kick a can way up into the sun, man. But it falls down into a ravine. I don't mean to even think about it that way, but I do. Watching the waves come in at night, On my back porch stoop, porch swing, swinging on its own. See, it's just an inhabitant of some Holy Ghost. I walk like a bruised ego along the shorefront property unknown to me, but I'm feeling inferior on the interior. Don't you see? Guarded and sentimental, and after all it's just a rental. Like better luck performing telekinesis on a priestess. You won't believe what I mighta coulda told you, but I wouldn't want to leave you tripping out over it. Okay, more so me, but that's just me. Watching the waves come in at night from my back porch stoop, porch swing, swinging on its own. See, it's just an inhabitant of some Holy Ghost. I cherish my intercontinental friendships. We talk it over continental breakfast in a hotel in East Bumble, wherever, somewhere on the sphere around here.
That was great.
Thank you.
I think I might like that version better than the original, and I really like the original version.
Thanks. Yeah, it's cool. It was kind of, I had to make sure to like, I had to plan where I was going to like take my breaths with that, because it's like a duet, so I'm like having to sing both parts. But
Yeah, and they do those like Bob Dylan like runoffs of just like words on words on words, and they're like big words too, you know?
yeah, like telekinesis on a priestess. I was like, that's rad. I love that line.
Yeah. That whole section of the song is my favorite. I'm feeling inferior in the interior. Like
Yeah.
those are the kind of lines that I hear and I wish that I wrote first.
I know, right? It's like, oh, there's just like this creative pool and they just grabbed it first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I thought that would be a cool song to do too, because I don't know, just thinking about like intercontinental friendships, like it's like we can't see, I don't know, I feel kind of sad not seeing certain friends and stuff, you know? So it just kind of made me feel better. It's like almost like pretending like they're just intercontinental or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you, I know you had mentioned earlier, are you living out in California or are you in Philadelphia?
Oh, I'm in Philadelphia.
Okay. But you were living in California for a bit?
Yeah, I lived there for almost 2 years, but I've been back here for like a few years now too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to your point, I feel like that is probably one of the hardest things for the collective experience with quarantine and the pandemic is it's not like it's one thing when you can't see your friends from afar, and now we're in a position where everybody's not seeing each other from like in the same city, you know. And, like one of the things that got me so into music was that feeling that you're describing, listening to that song of like listening to like the pool of art and then being like, oh, I feel that way too. And it kind of makes me feel better that somebody else is saying that. And then I think that's like what the purpose of art is. It's kind of make you feel a little less alone in the experience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. it's really cool to be able to. I really enjoyed doing these covers because I don't know. There's something about like singing somebody else's song that just like it's like even if it like affects you when you're listening to it, it almost, at least for me, I feel like I have a more like intimate relationship with it. So it was cool learning these. I really liked that.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a lot of other modes of art where you get to commonly do other people's art as a practice.
That's true. Yeah, I guess you can't like really. Is there anybody that just like paints, like repaints other people's stuff or something?
Yeah, like I guess like in poetry you read other people's, well, that's listening to music, but you don't like rewrite their poems, you know? And acting, it's kind of like if the role's been done, you know, I guess it's the Joker.
Yeah.
But music is really the only type of art that's coming to mind right now where it's like very common for us to play each other's songs. It's like automatically communal because of that. And you do learn about the artist, even, you know, somebody like Courtney Barnett or Kurt Vile. Well, I've never met either of them, but like you do feel like you intimately get to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest parts about it, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, because like, I mean, when am I ever? That would be so cool if I met Courtney Barnett, but it's like I have to come to terms with the fact that that's maybe not going to happen. So doing her songs is just cool. And it is really, I mean, that's an interesting point that you made. I don't think I've ever thought about that, you know, music is like, it's like taking someone's art and then like you can make changes to it, but it's still like has the integrity of the original songwriter, you know. It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's neat, and hopefully we will meet Courtney Barnett. I haven't met Carvana, but I know he lives, or at least lived in Philly. He's from Philly.
Yeah.
But if either you, Courtney, or Kurt are watching this podcast, give us a shout out. Say, hey, we would love to meet you, even if it's on Zoom. We'd love to play these songs with you on the internet.
Yes.
I'm crossing my fingers on this one. Really reaching here. So now I'm gonna do some originals. I'm gonna start it off with actually a song that's not a Retina song, but it's like my go-to open mic song that I wrote in college. I wanted to write like a country song that's like about drinking, but also is kind of sad and happy. And for some reason, I feel like it kind of fits with this style.
Right on. Yeah.
So this song is called Playing with Guns.
Bet you catch 'em like fireflies. Oh, I'm still the brightest sun they're ever gonna see. I'll get sued for always thinking of you. I know you like it, but you always try to fight it. I stole you a present, cause I couldn't buy it. I know I'm screwed, but still a little bit cute. Mama always told me I'm a stooped up son, so spoiled I couldn't see you're the one. Oh, come on, yeah, take away my blues. It's like going backwards when you're drunk on 6 shots of whiskey, 10 of rum. Well, I finally learned to have some fun. Oh, I'm out in the streets playing with my guns. you walking through all of them flowers, always in a rush. You power through the hours. You got something important that you gotta do. She said you ain't nothing but a bucket full of dollars. Boy, I lay with to lose my father. I'm all fucked up from this world. I got all kinds of scars and bruises. It's like going backwards when you're drunk on 10 shots of whiskey, 20 of rum. And I finally learned to have some fun. I've been out in the streets playing with my guns. Well, the boy you're with, he can't see it, he's a cardboard box, a 2D being. He ain't got no brains inside that head from all of that in school. I'd give you a ring so you know I mean it. I'll never get away if you would keep dreaming. I'm all lost out in this world without you, girl. Like going backwards when you're drunk on 6 shots of whiskey and 14 of rum. I'll finally learn to have some fun. And I'm out in the streets playing with my guns.
That was awesome. So that's not a Retinas song though. That's just your own.
Yeah, it's like kind of I have these like pockets of songs that eventually I'm gonna release that I always go back to working on when the Retinas are taking a break or something, and one day it's gonna make it out of there. But that's one of my favorite ones from that little pocket.
Wow, it's really, really good. Man, that's a really good descriptor, like walking backwards when you're drunk. It's like I just get like queasy just thinking about that.
Yeah. Do you listen to Replacements?
I have, but I'm not a fan, admittedly. Well, I haven't listened to enough. I'm not really familiar.
They have like a song called "If Only You Were Lonely."
Okay.
And it's just about being drunk and seeing like the person that you're missing and not knowing what to do. And I love Paul Westerberg's writing style, and that song was kind of like, I don't know if you ever do this, but sometimes I'll listen to a song and I'll be like, what would my version of that be?
Yeah.
And it's not like you're not trying to write that song, but you're trying to see like whatever that ethos or that thing is, see like if you put it through your filter, what would it sound like?
Right. Yeah.
So that was kind of my attempt at that. But yeah, it's fun. And when, venues are open and I can do it at an open mic, I like throwing in some like weird Bob Dylan, everyone gets stoned like, woo!
Oh, yeah.
And kind of like wakes people up from this weird drunken country song, Northeast country song.
That's probably why he would do those, because people were like drunk and falling over, needed to get their attention or something.
Yeah.
What was the is it the last line of the chorus? Yeah, or did you say thumbs or guns?
Guns.
Guns. Okay, that's cool.
I imagine it like a Western brawl.
Okay.
And I get kind of paranoid in my head that people are going to hear it thinking I'm talking about muscles. And I'm
Oh.
not a muscly person. So like, it's not like playing it in a bar. I'm like, I'm not trying to fight anybody.
Right.
That's not what this is. It's supposed to be kind of like a time and place.
Yeah. No, that's cool. How old is that song? When did you write it?
5 or 6 years.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Um, yeah. One day it'll make its way out into the world. This will be the first.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to listen to that again. I think that was a really good, like, really went along with like the Courtney Barnett vibe too.
Yeah, I was trying to decide, like, I was trying to pick something that's kind of in the same realm. And there's a line I have where it's the boy you're with, he can't see it. He's a cardboard box of 2 DB in. He ain't got no head inside that head. He ain't got no brains inside that head from all that school. And there's just too many words in that like line.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked it. I was like, oh, this is what a lot of Courtney Barnett songs feel like to me, is like putting all the words in one line.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be really hard to sing that. I don't know. I think sometimes when I'm listening to, well, before I started learning the covers, I was like, yeah, this seems doable. I could sing this. And then I was like practicing and I was like, wow, I have to really like know where she like places these words and stuff. So,
I'm glad you said that, because I had the same issue. I would listen even to the Preston, the first line of the song. You said we should look out further. It took me like 10 minutes to learn how to say that in the right rhythm. And it was so simple. And I kept like not being able to do it. I was like, it's an art, definitely.
yeah, definitely is.
Okay, so you're gonna do an original for us. Before you jump into the original, I wanted to ask you. So you said you were during COVID, you were getting some like inspiration. You were writing. What do we see on the future for either Lunar Year? I don't know if there's another project.
Yeah. So I am in the beginning of like recording an album, which I'm really, really psyched for because it's been a while since I released a full album. I've like put out a couple singles here and there, but yeah, I think that in some ways it's probably reflective, or it's probably similar to my first album in some ways, in that I think that sometimes I write in a little bit of an unconventional way. Like I use references from like literature and things that are maybe sometimes obscure or maybe not, but they are to me at least. But I'm definitely doing more of like it's definitely weirder, I think, and a little less delicate than some of my other stuff. Like my song Porcelain is like very, I think you said tender, you know, like it's just like piano and like soft vocals, which I really like, and I still write stuff like that, but I'm definitely going for more of like a new wave type, like inspired.
So is that with like different instruments that you're thinking about that? Or is that just a different style or just different subject matter?
I think it's a different style than I've written in. I think that my style up until now has been very folk. And like, I mean, I don't know. To me, I don't feel like when I'm like writing my songs, I don't feel like they're inspired by folk music, but maybe they might come across that way still, because I don't know. It all blends together in your brain, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think style-wise it's different. And then I've been trying to experiment with like different synth parts, and I have more songs that I'm writing on guitar. And pretty much all of my songs from the first album were written on piano. So
Okay.
most of these are written on guitar. So I think that's like a big difference too.
That's cool. I realized as you were describing Porcelain, I wasn't able to like get out the feeling that it gave me. But
it popped in my head as you were saying it. It feels like the first like winter air. You know, like how when you go outside that first like cold morning and it's like super like clean air and it's like
Yeah.
brisk. That's how that song feels to me. And I love that. And the one of the things I appreciate about that record in general is how clear everything is. It all feels kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's also exciting hearing like I guess I didn't think because you're playing guitar right now, but that you wrote most of that record for piano. What's it been like working with guitar more and writing in that capacity?
It's really fun for me now. But I've gotten a little better at playing. I'm definitely like not good at playing guitar though. Like I really, well, I mean, I'm like self-taught all the way, like with like everything. I like taught myself how to play piano, taught myself how to play guitar. So I feel like I have like, I'm definitely not like that good, but I'm good enough.
Completely. The way you were playing Continental Breakfast was great.
Thanks.
It made me think, I was like, I should have done a more interesting guitar part because it was cool.
Thanks. Well, I'm glad to hear that because I always think like, oh, I wonder if people are gonna judge me for my shitty guitar playing, but whatever.
Not at all. No, it's great guitar playing.
Thanks. Yeah. So I really like, yeah, I mean, this is going to sound really dumb probably, but I feel like I discovered guitar pedals and now I'm like, oh, this is how you make those sounds. Like this is how you write those songs, you know? So it's kind of fun.
I am
informed me.
Yeah, I'm very new to the guitar pedal world too. Like a year or two ago, we went from being a 4-piece to a 3-piece and we're trying to figure out how to fill the sound. And somebody told me to get pedals. And I got like a chorus pedal and I was like, oh, like I felt like fancy. I was like, hello, everybody.
I know. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes I think like I don't know, maybe it was good that I played clean for so long because I had to like overcompensate. And now that I have the pedals, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds sick. Like, but it's just because it's like a fuzz pedal or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are you going to be playing for us?
So I'm going to be playing a new song that's going to be on the record. Actually, I've been working on this song for like probably 6 months. So I finally just finished it recently. So this is the first time I've played it for anybody except for myself and GarageBand.
Cool.
But yeah, it's definitely a little bit, maybe a little darker than the Courtney Barnett covers, but I chose this one because it's very like wordy, and so I thought that would be a good theme with Courtney songs.
That seems to be our theme today.
Yeah, I figured I'd just keep going with it. It felt natural. So
cool.
So this is called "Shadows Eat the Sun." All the things they made me sign, I was well preoccupied, thinking secret sword and change, all the same, all the same. 2 salt pills for the morning drive, 1 more for a new friend of mine. Portal vein, nectarine, tangerine, all the same. Take you to woman moon, flutter around a bit by indigo rhyme. Back from marina with blue seashells, barnacles abetting with splitting cells, swimming round in orange jam, manic dream, acid land. I know what's inside my head, better sealed from punishment. Mice and mink and creeping things, yellow rings, all the same. Take you to woman moon, flutter around a bit by indigo rhyme. Take you to galactic slew, it's fine to hide in my brain hide. This is where the shadows eat the sun. 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 It's fine to hide in my brain hive. It's fine to hide in my brain hive. This is where the shadows eat the sun. This is where the shadows eat the sun.
That was great.
Thank you.
There's a ton to unpack there lyrically. Some awesome lyrics.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's definitely one that makes me a little out of breath. So I don't know why I wrote so many words.
That line that you ended with, and it happens in the middle of the song or towards the end of the song too. This is where the shadows eat the sun. I love that line.
Oh, thanks.
And I love the way that you deliver it too. It's like, I know you can. It's like it feels like it's creeping. Like I feel like I see. I'm not going to describe my visual because it's nerdy. But,
Oh no, you can, because it's probably similar
I
to
like
mine.
kind of like Kingdom Hearts, that video game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like those like shadow things. I imagine that like overtaking a sun.
Yeah. That's totally what I was going for.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I felt like, okay, I like putting like, I don't know, I guess like verbs to like things that can't do those. Like shadows can't eat anything. Like they're not like, it's a shadow, but it's almost like, yeah, I wanted to kind of get that across, that it's like so intense that it's almost like they're just consuming all the light. So.
Yeah. And the delivery is cool. The delivery isn't scary, but it's suspenseful,
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool lyrics happening in there too. It's not just this one line that I'm remembering, but the yellow rings, you say yellow rings, it's everything or something, but there was like, I don't know, like a plethora of like cool different things that I think you were describing what's going on in your head, or am I saying this right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think the lyrics were, I know what's inside my head, better sealed from punishment, mice and mink and creeping things, yellow rays, all the same. Yeah.
That's cool, because like it made me think of kind of like a backwards version of my favorite things, but like you're describing the room of your head, like mice, mink, yellow rings, like, yeah, some really cool stuff there.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a really, really fun song to write, but also like I feel like I had to definitely access some like weird things in my head to write that. I was like, I took a lot of inspiration from like the scenery in out west, because it's just so beautiful. But when I lived there, I like wasn't really in a good place, and so I wanted to I thought like it would be really cool to be able to like write this in a way that like as if like somebody could see the way that I was seeing everything, you know, where it was like I would look at everything and I thought, well, this is just amazing. It's so beautiful, but it's like almost like this twisted, weird, I don't know, like when you're not in a good headspace, it's like things just look different, like they feel different. And
Yeah, definitely.
especially like I have like depression and stuff. And so like, I don't know, just looking out at these like really amazing things and like through that lens, it was just, I really tried to just convey that I don't know, it's supposed to be kind of like a weird Alice in Wonderland, like version of reality or something.
I like that. And I like what you just said there, like citing mental health and how when you're not in the right mental headspace, things that are totally normal or look normal can have a completely different feeling. You know, I have pretty bad anxiety, and like something as simple as like the umbrella by my door, like things can just become jarring, you know, like objects or people or sounds like that. Normally, like it's just you're like in some fight or flight mode, and it's like something that could be totally normal or even sometimes enjoyable, like a mountain view could just seem like very jarring.
Yeah, I have anxiety as well. I have like tons of stuff. It's like depression, anxiety. But yeah, I mean, everything just looks really weird. Like sometimes when you're going through like an episode of that, or anxiety is like, yeah, I feel that. So I feel like that definitely comes across like, that's probably what I write about the most in my music is just like, pretty much all of it has to do with like my head. So
That's great. That's like, I think I like you being transparent about it. I try to be transparent about it too, because I think that the more people talk about it, the more, you know, what we were talking about earlier is that's what the purpose of music is in some ways to feel less alone. And a lot of ways in pop culture, I feel like that's translated through like romantic relationships or more general, like kind of social things. But like on a level or layer deeper, I think that it is about like mental health and like what people are going through, especially in a time like this, you know, and it's
definitely.
important to be transparent and talk about that because everybody has their own thing that they're going through. And for some reason we don't talk about it enough. And that's why I think art is like, especially music is still so conducive to our culture is that's where people kind of get that experience of like feeling connected and feeling less alone.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, art saves people's lives. I mean, talk about something that people should really just be paid way more. It's like, this is like so essential. Like, I mean, music saved me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it saves people. And, you know, I just think that it's like so important to have that, to be able to listen to or look at whatever that art may be.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's so exciting. We just got the premiere. What's the song called?
Oh, it's called Shadows Eat the Sun.
Shadows Eat the Sun. We just got the premiere of that on That Song, Your Song, My Song podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking with me and playing. Yeah, it was great, and you're a great artist, and we had some great conversations.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you so much for having me. This was really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, over and out, everybody.